Good morning. Thank you for the organizer for inviting me. Yeah, my PhD is here in University of Toronto, but not in computer science, in life science. And one thing you didn't show me, where is the clicker for the slides? This one, right? Together with my small team, we started the company 6 months ago based on some of the observation I made while solving problems. In the last couple of years, I've been a freelancer solving problems across different industries, pharmaceuticals and agricultural industries. And I was awarded a prize from Syngenta for a model that I developed to accelerate seed breeding. So that's a global problem that all of us should be actually concerned about, because productivity in the world is going to face challenges in the future when there'll be 9 billion people on Earth, and the sustainability, climate change, availability of land doesn't look like we'll be able to feed everybody on Earth unless we change some of the behaviors as the consumers, but also from a perspective of the farmers who needs to find better ways to grow crops more efficiently. I'm not solving all of these global issues right now, but I was definitely was able to look at multiple data sets from remote sensing, satellite images, weather, soil, and even genetic data, which I won't dive into a lot of the details there. But the conclusion that I came upon, that you can actually use a lot of these data sets to predict something that seems to be so unpredictable because it's dependent on the weather, such as the yields of crops, including soy and corn. So this project was corn specific, and the machine learning side of things was looking at a lot of historical data sets when it comes to productivity, a lot of time series, and correlating productivity with the NDVI, which is a ratio that tells the observer how well the plant is doing on Earth, as well as correlating it with temperatures and other features, including soil. Putting all of this data together, machine learning algorithms are very efficient at looking at what is happening in this data and allowing me to predict what a variant will do in which area, in which farm. And this was good enough for Syngenta to come up with better ways to select better breeds for the future. What is happening now across the field is similar to what is happening in the vehicles that we heard in the previous talk. There is a lot of digital data floating around. A lot of the modern machinery, the tractors, the harvest monitors have a GPS, and they now the farmer can know how much he's harvesting in which square meter of his field. So we are moving towards big data in agriculture, and together with the evolution in the machinery and the data and the connectivity, there is also evolution in the ways to use this data to the utility of the farmer. So what strikes me is also that it's not only the farmers that is suffering the consequences of severe weather event, it's also the entire ecosystem supporting farmers, including the banks and the crop insurance and the reinsurance companies. So there is a lot of larger picture here that using remote sensing and data can actually make capital allocations more efficient in general. So to prove this, we use a very actually simple neuronal network that ingest large quantities of data across the entire United States at the county level. And what you see with the colors of this map, the more blue it is, the more accurate our models are. And our models are, in the beginning of the season, are relatively less accurate. And as the season continues and more data is ingested into our CNNs, we get better predictions. And again, this is not across the board in all of the areas. You can see that some areas in the United States we are less precise, but in the large corn belt in the Midwest, we're actually achieving nice accuracy, and we're packaging this into a platform that allows a crop insurance or a rain insurance to evaluate the risk in the beginning of the season in order to protect, to defend the losses when it comes to paying out to the farmers. Again, our capabilities right now are limited to the one season, but obviously once we put more resources into it, we'll be able to predict a season in advance, and then where things becoming even more interesting also for the farmer, including the decision what to plant where. In addition to the insurance industry, we're looking also at lenders. So Canada is not so surprising, is a large agricultural player. There is a lot of corn and soy and wheat and barley that is growing in Canada. And the farmers all get access to capital, half of them through banks and half of them through government agencies. But the numbers are staggering. There are, in aggregate, $100 billion that are lended to farmers a year. It's relatively low risk to the banks compared to other industries, but still there is some risk involved. And the numbers are high, so finding a way to predict default in advance or look at the correlation between productivity in the field and financial stability is something that we are very much interested in and doing right now. In addition, we learned through this process that the adjudication, that the decision of making a loan or not making a loan, it's something that is quite complex and time-consuming for the banks. There are a lot of people that need to stamp it, approved or not approved, and papers that need to be shuffled around between departments of the bank. And the plan is to, across the banking system, as there is more digitization happening and more utility for digital tools, our angle in this is providing banks and credit unions the tools that will enable them to acquire customer faster by automating a lot of these processes. And the adjudication, the decision to lend or not to lend, start with appraising. Just appraising what is the value of the farm. Right now, to know what is the value of the farm, somebody have to drive to the farm, somebody have to interview the farmer, you need to look around, you need to look at all kind of documents to confirm that the farmer actually owns this farm, how much land he owns, and a lot of this can be automated with a combination of satellite images and other digital tools to acquire data and to put it all together in a way that will make sense. So right now we're building a platform that ingests data from multiple sources, including high resolution satellite images, historical data, and putting it all together in a way that will provide a plan of the farm, assessment of productivity of the farm, financial stability of the farm. And interestingly also, we're starting to look at environmental risk, or assessing environmental risk, because the regulation right now in Canada at least, and perhaps in the United States, requires the lending institution to conduct a preliminary environmental assessment to ensure that the farmer is not polluting water bodies or not endangering the environment in general. So there is a lot of potential here to use the type of the technology that we are using to the benefit of the entire society to prevent environmental disasters when it comes to farming. In the long range also there is the potential to understand better the effect of climate change on farmland in general in Canada and the risks that will be involved there to the farmers directly, but also to the organizations that are supporting the farmers. So that's where we are going with this product right now, building the networks and the interactions with organizations that have a lot of the data, including TerraNet, which is across the street here, and the government bodies that host a lot of this data. And again, this is, I guess, an opportunity also. I know that the government session is on the other room. There is a lot of data that is locked in government, where some of it is available for us as data scientists, some of it in the more granular data that will be more useful for people like me is actually inaccessible because of privacy concern, and we respect the privacy concern, but there is a lot of benefits that actually the farmers will gain by allowing access to more granular data, including like who's seeding what, where, and how much is he harvesting. This is data that is valuable not only to the farmer, but to the entire society because of the issues that we mentioned in the beginning when it comes to feeding the growing population on Earth. Of course, I'm not the only one operating in this arena. There are larger and much more capitalized companies that are already established. And if you're interested, you should look at Farmers Business Network, Farmers Edge. Both of them are funded to the tune of about $100 million. And they're going behind data. So these companies started maybe as data plays and recommendation engines for farmers to what to seed or how much fertilizer to use. But now they're utilizing their platform to become an e-commerce of farming. So these are going to be the Amazon of farming. So all of the tractors, all of the buying and selling of seeds, of fertilizers, of and selling of the outputs, all of this is going through these platforms. And so we're talking about billions of dollars in commerce and a large potential for revenues. In addition to these big players, there are also relatively smaller players that are doing, as for example, the Cart Lab are looking more at servicing the future market, so looking at global productivity and its effects on the financial market. S4 is a smaller company in Argentina that is servicing reinsurance companies and predicting risk in this arena. Crop OS is an interesting company that is looking at the breeding process and creating software for breeders to accelerate and make the breeding more efficient. And Acre Value is a company that's looking at just the value of the land, so kind of a more real estate angle on land, and create an entire platform for this purpose. Of course, we are a young startup. We are looking for customers. I'm looking for talent to expand my team. We're looking for investors. I'll be very happy to speak with anyone after the talk to find out if they can help me in any of these three domains. And I want also to thank Next Canada for supporting me in the hardest thing is to initiate this whole process and start the company. So the help of Next Canada with the networking, the training, and the funding was instrumental for the beginning of this process that hopefully will end up in successfully for us and our investors as well. Thank you.
Any question?